What's up guys, Houndish here, and today Destiny 2 gets the December update, or one of a couple of updates that we might see this month. I believe the one today is the more significant one. Of course, it's loading in the Dawning event for 2024, so we'll touch a little bit on that. We'll also cover the rest of the patch changes, focusing largely on fixes for the episode content, and some of those have been anticipated for a while now, so we'll round up what Bungie have to say on the patch notes, and we'll cover things like the Eververse inventory for the week, vendor loot, key things to know about the reset, including farmable rewards this week, other updates from Bungie, and a handful of other items in the video. So if you guys enjoy this one, feel free to help us out on the channel by hitting that subscribe button if you're new around here. But without further delay, let's get into it. And so, as we mentioned, the Dawning kicks off this week. Alongside it is the patch that we've had today. We'll cover the patch changes in just a moment, but if you want to get into the Dawning stuff, it works very much in the same way as what we've seen in previous years. So start out by heading to Eva Levante in the tower, and she'll hopefully give you some Dawning quests. Although, as we've seen in other events, you might get quests for the wrong event. We'll have to wait and see. Of course, that was a joke. Hopefully, everything will be working as intended. But there's new armor, which we can get via Eververse, the dragon-themed stuff. There's also a new weapon, the Mistral Lift, that'll be dropping from packages, Dawning engrams, and rewards from Eva Levante and various vendors. Otherwise, there's the event card, and the event will direct us to all of that stuff. And of course, the Eververse cosmetics and items, which we'll touch on in a moment as well. That really summarizes what you need to know about the Dawning initially. So let us know in the comment section if you'll be taking part this year, baking some cookies, or going after weapons and armor. As always, give us all of your thoughts in the comment section. Next up though, we now have patch notes for the update today. This is update 8151, and jumping straight into the changes that Bungie have outlined, for Tomb of Elders, they fixed an issue where players waiting for revival after the final Tomb of Elders boss had been defeated would spawn in the Warden's office and could not claim rewards. It's also possible for that to happen without dying, by the way. For Onslaught Salvation though, they fixed an issue where the bonus heatwave round was occurring less than intended, and an issue where invisible ledges were present near the third defense location on Kel's grave. Then for the Crucible and matchmaking, they've updated back-end thresholds to improve matchmaking times and the quality of matches. They've also adjusted the Fireteam matchmaking weighting in 6v6 playlists to avoid redundancy with Fireteam matchmaking, and increased the score threshold at which teams are broken up in order to allow more matches to recycle and improve matchmaking times. Then for Dungeons and Raids and Vesper's Host, they fixed an issue where the first secret chest would only reward the first player opening it, another one where the Icebreaker Catalyst was not always awarded to players who died during their run, and one where players could crash during the boss death. So those are good. Then for the second encounter, they fixed an issue where the boss would sometimes not reform properly after DPS, resulting in an infinite damage phase. Next though, the exotic armor changes for Raiju's harness have indeed made it into this update, so they've retuned the super energy granted by defeating arc debuff combatants. For miners, they've increased super energy granted from 0.3 to 1%. For mages, it goes from 1.7 to 2.5, and for players, it goes from 3.1 to 4. Then for mini-bosses and bosses, they've decreased the super energy granted from 4.5 to 4%, a very specific change there. They also decreased the amount of super energy granted for defeating arc debuff combatants while Gathering Storm is being cast to approximately 80% of the previous value. And they say the maximum total energy granted this way remains the same at 50%, and they note that the lightning summoned by Raiju's harness on allies and enemies near the user will always apply status effects before dealing damage. So keep that in mind and let us know your thoughts on those changes once you have time to try it out, For Revenant though, finally, and tonics, they fixed an issue where the tonic quest progress could become blocked on specific characters, so all players should hopefully be able to produce them now. They also fixed an issue where the tonic of Worldly Arms armor and Worldly Chest armor had incorrect descriptions, and one where Legacy Tomb of Elders weapon tonics were targeting the incorrect weapons, and they point out this fix went live last week in a hotfix. So there we go, those are the patch changes for today. As always, I'll link them down below if you want to check them out. And now let's get on to the Eververse inventory for the week. Firstly, there are double Crucible rewards this week. I should mention that before we move on. Then for the front page of the Eververse store, as always, we can see all of the silver items available this week. I think this one, by the way, will be sold for Bright Dust later on in the season. If you want a full schedule of the Eververse inventory for the Dawning, I'll link that down below. Otherwise, we can see the armor sets for the Dawning, the Astral Stasis Drake sets on the front page, so They're quite curious looking things. Let us know if you plan to pick them up. They are 6,000 Bright Dust on the Bright Dust tab. But for Bright Dust items on the front page, firstly, we've got the Struggle Skate legendary emote, which will cost 700 Bright Dust. So there's a quick look at that one. Very interesting. There's also the Shaky Skating, which is a multiplayer exotic emote right here. Very nice indeed for 4,250 Bright Dust. Expensive stuff. We also have the Howling Blizzard legendary transmat effect, which is up for 450 Bright Dust. Then for the front page shaders, firstly, we have Dawning Festiveness right here, which looks alright. On top of that, there is Aniline Shock, and as always, the shaders will cost 300 Bright Dust. But moving to the main Bright Dust section here, we've got the Ice Carving exotic emote, which is 3,250 Bright Dust right there. Pretty cool looking one. Additionally, there's the Snowball Toss legendary emote, which is up for 700 Bright Dust. We'll have a quick preview of that one as well. Then a few new dawning items here. So there's the Cocoa Shell up first for 2,850 Bright Dust. Again, this can be bought for silver during the event, so if you want to spend Bright Dust, do it this week. There's also the Dawning Lights exotic ship, which is up for 2,000 Bright Dust as always. So we'll preview the very basic trail on that one, sort of festive. Then we've got the Polar Prancer exotic sparrow, which is 2,500 Bright Dust right here. Another quite interesting one for the Dawning. And the Frostborn ornament for the Black Talon. I put this ornament in my thumbnail yesterday, and folks said I was clickbaiting because there isn't an exotic Dawning sword. And I guess they were correct, but it is indeed an ornament available this week for 1,250 Bright Dust. And then there is the Great Pigeon Projection for 1,500 Bright Dust as well. These are always very expensive. And for the second page of shaders, we've got Dawning Hope up first. Once again, they're all 300 Bright Dust. On top of that, Dawning Warmth is up this week, which actually is quite a nice one right there. Then we've got Dawning Festiveness and Aniline Shock once again. Those are the same ones that were on the front page, I believe. Finally, though, there is the Snowy Entrance Transmat effect for 450 Bright Dust. We'll preview that one again. Also, the Piled High Transmat effect is up this week for the same cost. And very finally, we've got the Peppermint Burst available in the store this week as well. But 2 more weeks after this remaining for the Dawning, so there'll be more Dawning-themed stuff, but let us know in the comments section if you plan to pick anything up. And now, here we are in the tower. Be sure to visit Eva Levante. Let's just check in and see if she knows which event is active. Yes, it appears that she does. That is certainly a huge positive. Let us know if you're planning to jump into the Dawning. I'll get started with that momentarily, but let's take a quick look at Banshee's featured weapons for the week. Why not? Just in case. For the moment, we have the Typhon GL5 with Steady Hands and Wellspring. Battlescar is up, which has got Encore and Kinetic Tremors, which is interesting. Then there's the Persis D with Perpetual Motion Vorpal Weapon, the Ragnhild D with Steady Hands Elemental Capacitor, and finally we've got the Enyo D with Well-Rounded and Vorpal Weapon as well, but keep in mind the weapons and roles will change throughout the week. And let's finish with a quick visit to Shader 1 here, down in the Annex. No Dawning decorations in here. I guess Bungie think that robots don't have feelings. In terms of what she's got though, we've got the Inside Unyielding set of gear from back in the day, if you want to check in for stats or to add to collections. And then for shaders, Shadow Guilt is up this week at Ada 1. These are 10,000 Glimmer. There's also Echoes of Io, the Worn variant, for the same cost this week. And very finally, we've got War Cult Camo, if you're after any older faction shaders. I'm not sure this one's been up for a little while, so might be useful for some folks. Let us know in the comment section. Some final bits of loot and rewards and activities to mention right here. The Nightfall this week should be Birthplace of the Vial. We also have the Grandmaster catch-up nodes, so you can run any of those if you need to. And the featured Nightfall weapon this time around should be the Scintillation Linear Fusion Rifle, which of course dropped last episode in Echoes. Otherwise, the exotic mission is Node Override Avalon, so the Vexcalibur will be the reward from that this week, and we should be able to get all of its upgrades from that mission as well. But otherwise, Kingsfall is the featured raid, dropping the Touch of Malice, but the other featured raid will be Garden of Salvation, and there are some newly updated weapons this episode that you might have missed out on in that one, so it could be a good one to go into. But the other activities include Spire of the Watcher dungeon firstly, and we can pick up the Hierarchy of Needs exotic bow, plus we've got Pit of Heresy featured too, and all 4 of those activities can be farmed without loot lockouts on the encounters and clears, so let us know if you need to work on any of those. But finally, we have the featured Lost Sector rotation, which today should be the Broken Deep on the Pale Heart, Then we'll get Blooming Deep for December 11th, and the Forgotten Deep for December 12th. Keep in mind, world weapon drops will come from these, and chances at exotic engrams on solo clears. December 13th will be Extraction in Savathun's Throne World. Then we'll see Sepulture on the 14th, and Metamorphosis for the 15th. And the last one will be K1 Revelation on the Moon for December 16th, ahead of the next weekly reset. So hopefully that rundown will be helpful. And for today, guys, that is what we have to round up in the video. So as always, if you have enjoyed the video, a rating does help us out down below. Once again, let us know if you'll be diving into the game this week, and I'll be keeping you posted with the rest of the updates from Bungie. Potentially an interesting TWAB this week. I think it's going to be the last one of the year. So between some of the unannounced events that appear to be in the game according to the database, and the launch of Act 3 of the episode, which will drop before we get another TWAB in the new year, potentially they'll speak about quite a few things, so I'll keep you posted. And be sure as well to get locked and loaded here on the channel, hit subscribe and turn on notifications, that way you won't miss out on any content. But for now, cheers for tuning in, and I hope you guys have an awesome day.